Well, what's going on, guys? This is Carl at the Racerred channel, and today I wanted to revisit law enforcement. So, I don't think that a lot of people agreed. A lot of people did agree, but I wanted to expand on one of my last videos regarding law enforcement in general, because last time I did a video about this, most of the video was just explaining all the ways that I've been pulled over, and I left out a bunch of them. I mean, it's only what I can remember while I'm riding a motorcycle, so I'm sure there's like 10 that I forgot. But as I went through all the times I had been pulled over, most of them were pretty much just going about my day and getting pulled over for pretty much no reason. And that's the main thing I have a problem with. I know that one guy was like, law enforcement aren't tyrants. You were just doing the wrong thing. Well, I don't think that's right. Just because it's against the law doesn't mean that you're not doing the right thing. The law does not line up with what's right. To prove this, they've done studies to find out how many crimes each person commits every single day of the week. And they found that every single person would go to prison every single day of the week if they had to abide by every single law on the books. This is why officer discretion is so important. And you can't just go around hiring bullies, because they will just go out to the public and treat them like a threat. Treat them like they are inferior. Like this officer is just superior. With his superiority complex, he just puffs his chest out and says, "Do you know why I pulled you over? Seems like you want to do this, huh?" No, probably not. I think that a lot of the reasons why you get pulled over are complete BS. I've been pulled over for literally nothing. Like I had detailed in my video prior. I did one ride-along to become an officer, and it completely turned me off. And I was like, well, now what do I do? I'm a libertarian, for one. Let me just tell you what happened on this ride-along. Somebody told on somebody else. That's exactly what happened. Probably Becky or Karen. Karen told on Becky. And so Becky's driving along at like 2:30 a.m. on a back road with zero traffic. And Karen called in that she was driving drunk, leaving from a party. So me and this officer set a trap for poor Becky. And I'm just there for the ride. This officer knows exactly where Becky's gonna be. We wait for her to go by. We snatch her up. We come out of nowhere and get behind her, find that probable cause. Gotta have that. And so the officer looked over at me and said, "You see her hit that yellow line? She hit the yellow line. The yellow line, you saw that, right? We're gonna get her." Pulls her over. She sees the lights flashing behind her. As most people do, she got a little nervous, went into a parking lot where there's no left turn allowed into the parking lot. So the officer I was with hit her with that as well. After that, did a breathalyzer and found that old Becky, she's been drinking a little bit too much, in fact. So we took her in. We went through her whole car and found that she had a bottle of ibuprofen with some other pills that were not identified in there. That's a big no-no. So that's That's a huge no-no, apparently. You have to have all pills labeled. Poor Becky, you're going to prison for a long time now. And so this was her third offense, and she did, in fact, go to jail. We took her in and locked her away. Meanwhile, she was driving just fine. Karen called her in probably because she didn't like Becky. And Becky was driving at 2:30 a.m. with absolutely no cars or traffic around. And she wasn't even swerving. We had to really look hard to find that Becky was doing anything wrong. We had a predispositioned belief that Becky was already a criminal before we even started. And that's a real problem, guys. This is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. And these officers go back, and when they're not doing anything in the moment, they study these gigantically thick books of different laws they can get you on. And that's not the way life in the United States of America should look. I know that for sure. I'm not saying that you should be able to drive around drunk and smash into children. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, maybe we shouldn't be allowed to tattle on people or have them pulled over with such ease as we did that night. And you've got to have better reason than probable cause or reasonable suspicion to do so. Somebody really better be driving poorly. I know every single person out on the road right now, including myself, is more dangerous than old Becky was because of not paying attention to the road half the time. I would say 99% of everybody has looked at a phone at some point while they're driving. That is way more dangerous than Becky driving on back roads at 2:30 a.m. slightly over the legal limit of alcohol. Blood alcohol content. So, I don't know. There's a big problem with our legal system, and to say the law is the law, that's a basic way to look at life, especially in the United States of America. That's such a basic way to look at life, and that's a dangerous outlook, because what if the law required the officer to take you to a facility where there was a gas chamber if you were a Christian? Would you still follow that law? At what point do laws become unjust, is what I'm saying. That's the whole point of my video that I made, and I believe that a lot of laws aren't just, and I think that there's not a lot of difference between some agencies and how I would do it. Some of the sheriff's departments do a good job. They are there to help you. They're truly there to protect and serve. Those are the reasons they exist, is to protect and serve using your tax dollars. And that is to, like, I've gotten notes before at my house that they suspected that somebody broke into my stuff because I left my car door open. They're patrolling and helping. That's police work right there. You shouldn't, in the world of Emperor Carl, let's enter that now. I guess police work would look similar to how some of the sheriff's departments do it right now. I would increase training. I would tell them to give the civilians the tactical advantage, and don't treat them like you're a military force. Even if you're not giving them the tactical advantage necessarily, don't make them feel like that. L formation is an example of this, where you're doing an interview and you have another officer ganging up on the civilian. Not necessary, and makes them feel not at ease, that's for sure. And so I would make the rules simple as Emperor Carl. The criminal law would be loosened significantly. However, the punishment may be increased significantly. So if you're a violent douchebag, then I would not let you watch TV and play around like the inmates do currently. All violent crime would be considered a tier 1, I guess it would be a tier 3 offense. We would start with the lowest and go to high. So we'll do a tier 3 offense for all violent crime. Basically, if you're an abuser of any sort towards anybody, then you would go to the tier 1 prison designed for maximum punishment. And that's there to make your life horrible. A lot of people would say, you want this to be like Russia. Russia's better than us, and they're actually very similar to us. You're not going to hurt anything by having a military type environment for tier 3 violent criminals. That's just the boot camp type situation, and it's there to basically break them and build them into a regular person, just like boot camp does. Then there would be tier 2, the step below that. This would be for people breaking into your car, people stealing things, people who are people who get drunk and smash into vehicles but don't kill anybody. This is tier 2. This would be more brutal than any prisons currently are, but not as brutal as tier 3. Tier 1 would be how all of our prisons are right now, which is easy life. And this would be for the guys who are transferring money into their account little by little from their business, who hasn't necessarily done anything crazy yet. This would be kind of a double tiered facility. One half would be mental health, and the other side would be low level crime. And those are the prisons that would be in Emperor Carl land. And however, if you are a violent criminal of a certain tier of heinousness above tier 3, which would be crimes against exploitation against children under the age of 13, then you would get the death penalty. If you commit murder, death penalty. If you're violent, just one right after another, and there's no hope for you, death penalty. Seems harsh, I know, but you can't let those guys live in society. And if somebody refuses to change and is a danger to society, it's a death penalty. Just put them down. Emperor Carl has spoken. The Constitution and the Declaration of Independence would be the law of the land and would be studied in all police academies. And the laws would be simplified for the most part. There are many laws that still need to be there. Simple things like a curfew, Like, you know, not making a bunch of noise after 10 p.m. Just be nice to people. You wouldn't have to worry about getting pulled over or talked to by the police in my world unless you clearly did something unreasonable and clearly stupid. You wouldn't be sweating anymore when you see a police officer in your rearview mirror. The peers would be your police. They would be very similar to you, and secretly, covertly, they would be highly trained, but they'd be also trained to not let you know that. They'd be trained to make you feel at ease. And it'd be a very friendly environment, for sure, very friendly. They would be wearing light colors, no dark colors. There absolutely would not be anybody getting pulled over unless you are clearly doing something. Like most of the times I've been pulled over, I've just been cruising along, not trying to do anything wrong, just driving my best, and I get pulled over. That will never happen in Emperor Carl land. So anyways, vote for Emperor Carl in your next election. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I can't think of anything else that I wanted to bring up in this one. I just kind of wanted to expand on how I think things should be, and the Constitution's a big part of that. There's some real obvious things in there. The Constitution's made to be an umbrella over society, and therefore a lot of the language inside of that is going to be vague in order to umbrella a large amount of topic, and it's there so that tyranny can't slip its way in. However, the Constitution has been overanalyzed and perverted in recent times to say things that it never said. They critique it saying, oh, well, you know, a well-armed militia, that sounds like the National Guard. It's not for regular people. And they overanalyze it, where if you look at the Founding Fathers' documents, every single document that they ever wrote, their intention was 100% maximum liberty, no matter what. It's not for dispute. That's their intention. That's how every single one of those guys wanted. It's maximum liberty and freedom for each individual, not for the government, state or federal governments. I mean, it's clearly in the United States Constitution that the federal government can only own 10 square miles of land per state, and yet they own a ton of BLM now. There's lots of things like that in there. Emperor Carl would be bringing it back home, for sure, and then I'd probably get assassinated. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you on the next one. I hope you enjoyed the R1. It's back. It's got a new battery. See ya.